Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. It is officially the return of the Arena Cube, the draft format that is made from a curated list of the most powerful cards on Arena. For that reason, we do not keep any of the cards that we draft. It's simply for the fun of the format and the prizes on the tracker. Just wanted to mention that because I do get asked every time I make a cube video. Without further ado, let's see what we've got to pick one, pack one here. So it has been a while since they've had the Arena Cube on Arena at all, and for that reason there's going to be a lot of cards that weren't on there the last time around, really shaking up the meta of the cube. We have cards from the Innistrad sets like Hullbreaker Horror and Manaform Hellkite. We've got cards from Jumpstart Historic Horizons like Restoration Angel. We've got cards from Alchemy. We've got cards from D&D that weren't on before, so I'm really interested to see how this shapes up. Generally, pack one, pick one in the Arena Cube, or any cube for that matter. You can kind of go with whatever you're feeling. Most of the cards in Cube are going to be pretty powerful, so the variance between the strongest cards in the pack is going to be really close, and I do think that Hullbreaker Horror is probably one of the strongest cards in the pack, and it's going to lend itself to a very controlling strategy the most. So I want to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. What I did with almost every other cube was draft mono red a ton. So I want to get a little out of my comfort zone, maybe try to draft a more controlling strategy if it ends up being open enough for us. And the next card we see is a really, really good just shoe-in for the kind of deck that would want to play a Hullbreaker Horror. Shark Typhoon here, another absolute standard all-star from the time. I believe it's a historic all-star as well, although I don't play a lot of constructed. This card's just really, really good. No matter what, you can cycle it for 2 mana, or you can cycle it for more and start getting a big old flyer and drawing the card at instant speed, which is really nice. It works as sort of a combat trick and a draw spell at the same time when you do that. Plus, if you top deck this late game, you could just cast this as an enchantment, so that every time you cast anything, you're just spitting a bunch of sharks on the board. Can't really go wrong with Sharknado in a blue controlling strategy. It just gives you a lot of flexibility of great things to do at instant speed, or maybe a late game just absolute finisher. So Shark Typhoon it's going to be for me. Again, early on in the picks in the Arena Cube, you can always take a multitude of cards that are really powerful. Like I really like Glorybringer. This card is just so good in any red deck. I love it in mono red aggro at the top end of the curve. I love it in just like green red ramp as just a mid-range creature. It's just super, super good because it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent's life total while also killing some stuff. There's like Rishkar there, which is really fun in like the +1/+1 counter strategy. Just tons of things in the pack again that seem pretty good. And wow. Yeah, the Arena Cube is certainly a powerful draft format. Here we see Memory Deluge. This is the kind of card that fits in really well with both of these cards. I believe this card has been played in constructed decks with both of these cards before, so you can't really go wrong there. Another instant speed way to draw some cards. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 into your hand, and then flashback it for 7. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, so really good card selection while you're drawing those cards. But there's also Mulldrifter, and Mulldrifter is kind of like a cube icon, a cube classic. If you only have 3 mana, just bam, 3 mana, draw 2 cards. But if you have 5, a 2/2 flyer and draw 2 cards is just such a great bit of card advantage there. You can even try to flicker it. I believe there are some blue-white flicker strategies in this cube. Cards like Ephemerate, I think, are in the cube. I'm not 100%, but Ephemerate is a card that exiles your creature and then returns it to the battlefield to redo its enter the battlefield effects. But I'm pretty sure they were in the cube last time around. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't be in there this time around. Yep, they definitely are, because there's Soul Herder. Soul Herder would exile that Mulldrifter and then put it back on the board. So here we have some excellent Wrath effects. The question is which is the best, because I feel like this is the pack where we maybe try to push into blue-white control as a strategy, because we see Vanquish the Horde, 2 white and 6, but it costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield to destroy all creatures, or Doomscar, which if you foretell it for 2 mana, then the next turn you can play it for only 3 mana, or you could just hard cast it for 5 mana. I feel like Doomscar is probably a bit better because in Cube the creature quality is going to be pretty high, so there will be situations where your opponent only has 2 or 3 creatures on the board and they're just really good and you need to kill them. And in those positions, Doomscar is much better. However, Vanquish the Horde is better if your opponents are really low to the ground aggro deck that's like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, because then it already costs 5 mana at that point. It would cost 4 mana turn 4 if they really curve out. I feel like even then Doomscar comes out faster, right? You just have to spend the time for telling it. Actually, now that I think of it, Doomscar is probably almost always better. Not Not super certain on that one, but Doomscar is definitely good here, and certainly the kind of card to fit into our control deck. So is Teferi's Protection. You really want to have permanents out for Teferi's Protection to do a lot. Otherwise, it's kind of just fog. You just spend this, and then you don't die for a turn. There's two ways to look at this, and it really depends how you look at this. If you look at this as being a fog, then it's like, all right, that's whatever, that doesn't really matter. If you look at it as being a time walk, maybe that's a little greedy, but if you look at it as being a time walk, that's pretty sick, right? Pretty insane. We can also just take the blue-black dual land, which would be great if we end up doing Esper control. We do want a lot of mana fixing in the cube. As you can see, we already have some restrictive costs. Double blue, double white, double blue here. So especially if we end up in a third color, blue-black dual would be good. I don't know. I feel like Teferi's Protection isn't even that good here, because ideally you play this when you have a lot of permanents out, so you're protecting your permanents and your life total and some stuff like that. I guess if we pick up some Planeswalkers, it'll be pretty sick. But yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Maybe I should have just taken the blue-black dual land. So what do we want here? We could try to do the Doom Foretold meme, but I don't think that I'm confident enough in that kind of strategy to try to do that. It's like an edict effect. Every turn your opponent has to sacrifice something, and if they don't, you get a pretty big swing and advantage there. So the best way to play around Doom Foretold is kind of just let it happen, is what I've heard. It's kind of the only card for us. We're not going to play Delver of Secrets. Like, with the Doomscar, Shark Typhoon, Memory Deluge, we're the kind of blue deck that's trying to just control until the late game and then just play a 7-drop. We don't want our 1-drop attacking our opponent. I don't know. I'm just going to take the blue-black duel this time around over the Doom Foretold mainly. So now what do we have? Probably going to be Seal Away. Nice, cheap removal spell. Bubble Snare is cheap as well if you're targeting a tapped card, but otherwise it costs 4 mana to tap the creature and get this to activate. I mean, I guess by that logic, Seal Away, you could only target the tapped creature anyway. So it's like 2 mana to do it at instant speed or 1 mana to do it at sorcery speed. Definitely not History of Benalia, we're not going to be aggressive, and Mangara hasn't impressed me too much. But maybe it's okay. And Amir's Call's nice for a land that's if you draw late game gives you sort of a win con. Yeah, Bubble Snare or Seal Away, I'm actually... feels a little weird here. I'm going to take Seal Away, but... I don't know, Seal Away is just the card that's seen a lot more play, so just like instinctually it feels a lot better to me. But now that I think of it, like Bubble Snare is kind of just a 1-mana Seal Away, because it does the same thing, just at sorcery speed. Alright, this pack's sick. There's Mana War in the cube. Does Mana War go into blue-white control? I mean, it's a great tempo play. It's a great tempo play. I don't know for like draw, go, control, trying to hold up a bunch of instant speed stuff, how good it would be. Commit is really nice because you can hold it at instant speed. Cleansing Nova solid, another Wrath effect. Irrigated Farmland is premium here, a blue-white dual land. That being said, I'm just going to take Commit. I'm just going to take a bunch of stuff to be able to cast everything at instant speed and just be a draw, go, control deck where I just draw, pass the turn, draw, pass the turn. Every single card I've drafted so far, outside of Doomscar, is instant speed. Seal Away, Teferi's Protection, Commit, Memory Deluge, Shark Typhoon, and Hullbreaker Horror. Shark Typhoon, just the cycling is instant speed. But that makes it so for draw, go, control, we can do a lot of fancy stuff. So do we want Restoration Angel as sort of a combat trick removal spell, or Behold the Multiverse as some card draw? I think we're doing okay on card draw. Memory Deluge is super great for that, and we have a little bit of cycling. I'm going to actually go for Restoration Angel here, flash in an angel and maybe kill a creature when we do so. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with here. I'm not super confident in how I draft. I probably should have just taken that blue-white duel and had another blue-black duel already. Some stuff like that, but I mean, things are still looking pretty spicy here. I am confident about Seal Away over Bubble Snare, because the one thing I wasn't thinking about is most of our deck is instant speed. So the more instant speed we have, the better there. Brineborn Cutthroat seems weird for this deck. I know we're doing everything at instant speed, but like, I'm still going to take it. Maybe I take the blue-black card there. Still going to take it, but it just feels weird. I don't think we want to just like slam down a 2-drop and then as we sit here doing a bunch of instant speed stuff. Because I feel like, I don't know, could be wrong there. Now I do get to play around with Mole Drifter with Restoration Angel, which is really fancy. Play a Mole Drifter and then flicker it with a Restoration Angel to draw more cards. So that's pretty cool. We got that combo going on. Now we have another Wrath effect. This is a pretty expensive Wrath. It's definitely worse than Doomscar. I definitely argued myself into that stance, but it is another Wrath, so I'll still take it. We definitely want to have multiples, so they're redundant. We can draw them a little more often, a little more consistently. None of these cards do anything for us. So we're just going to slam something to the sideboard. And now we have a Delver of Secrets and a Brineborn Cutthroat. Oh, we wield the Bubble Snare. So if Bubble Snare is better than Seal Away, we got it too. I don't think it is, at least for this deck with the amount of instant speed stuff, but that is a thing to consider a little there. So we have Field of the Dead in here. This is banned in a million formats, as you can see, and it's pretty much my favorite pick one, pack one in the cube. However, in pack 2, after we're this committed to a blue-white control strategy, I don't think we can just hop on the Field of the Dead train. I think this card's really good. It's so easy to just pick one, pack one this, and then just draft every non-basic land, and then just play some kind of 5-color Field of the Dead pile that's trying to search that out and have a lot of good mana fixing, but I think that is legitimately one of the strongest strategies in the cube, and it's really fun to do, but can't really do it here. Here I think I'm just taking Deserted Beach. I passed up on a lot of mana fixing earlier that I really think I shouldn't have, and we're only taking it over an opt or a consider. The odds of both of these getting drafted by the time this pack comes back to us are very slim, and they're both basically an identical card that we would like to have like one copy in our deck. We'd be fine with it, but we don't need a ton of those kind of cards. I'm just going to take the Deserted Beach. Make sure I've got a little bit of mana fixing in here. So we get mana screwed out of a certain color a little less often. We get to actually cast our spells as frequently as possible. But something like Doomscar, we really need double white turn 3. There's going to be times where our opponent's just mono red aggro and we die if we don't have double white Doomscar turn 3. All right, ooh, another blue-white dual land. That's got me pretty excited, and there's basically nothing else for us, so let's get that in there. Bazir's Lieutenant is fine, but we're not really looking for a mid-rangey creature-heavy deck here. Just kind of controlling the early game and then slamming down a big old bomb like Hullbreaker Horror, Shark Typhoon. Siren Stormtamer's a lot of fun in the blue tempo decks. Wow, you could have a really fun mono-blue or like blue-white or blue-green, kind of any secondary color, but primarily blue-based tempo strategy where you have a bunch of cheap aggressive creatures like Siren Stormtamer, Delver of Secrets, Brineborn Cutthroat, play some cards like Mana War to slow your opponent down while putting more power on the board. Could be a really fun blue aggressive tempo strategy in this cube. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that happen. Could be pretty cool. There's a lot of things I want to see happen in this cube. There are so many sets since the last time Cube's been around. Technically, again, we had Tinkerer's Cube back in like September, but that's Tinkerer's Cube. It's pretty different. So I definitely want, I think, more cheap removal. We're not doing horrible on that front. I mean, Seal Away, Bubble Snare is pretty great. Here, this is a hard choice. I've never cast a Memory Lapse in my life, unless I cast this in Cube and forgot about it. I know Banishing Light's great removal on 3, but I know that Memory Lapse is also banned in Historic and was a super good card for slowing your opponent down a lot. You basically time walk them, right? Because they tap out for their big spell, you put it back on top of their library, and that's their turn. It's just over. I guess they do get to attack and everything like that, so it's not literally time walk, but it's a really nice tempo play. Another card that would be excellent for that like blue aggressive tempo deck. But Banishing Light's definitely solid. Like, it's definitely super solid at the 3-drop slot too. Exile anything we need to get rid of instead of just creatures. We only have creature removal right now. Maybe a little boring here, but I'm going to take Banishing Light. I'm just much more comfortable with the card there. Again, I know Memory Lapse is good, because I just have heard, but I just have no experience with the card myself. It does seem good at face value. There we go, there's Ephemerate for our Mold Drifter. We could just have a bunch of flicker effects for our one copy of Mold Drifter. So if we ever draw Mold Drifter, we go absolutely ham. The really fun thing with Ephemerate and Mold Drifter is you can spend 3 mana for the evoke cost. So you spend 3, you put Mold Drifter on the board, then its ability triggers, it says, I'm about to get sacrificed. In response, before it gets sacrificed, you can respond with Ephemerate to flicker it, put it back on the board, and then it will stay permanently. No longer does it die because it got evoked for only 3. So Ephemerate Mold Drifter is really fun, but I don't think we can justify an Ephemerate for the one single creature with a good ETB effect in this deck. That being said, we could try to draft more, but like that's literally the one. Like it's that or Mecha Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla's whatever. Let's take Ephemerate. Let's Ephemerate some Mold Drifters. I'm going to justify it. I'm going to play a single Mold Drifter and all of the flicker effects just for my one Mold Drifter. We have missed out on some flicker effects already, actually. The blue-white Cloud Piercer or whatever. Not Cloud Piercer. It's got the Seb McKinnon artwork, the 3-mana 1/1 flicker thing. Beautiful card, but we did pass up on it already. I think I want Disdainful Stroke here. I'd like to get some counterspells in here, and counterspells are easier to play the more instant speed stuff you have, and this deck has tons of instant speed stuff. So the great thing about having a control deck like this that's almost all instants is that you basically never have to make that hard decision of do I cast my Great Sorcery Speed spell and commit to the board or draw some cards here, or do I hold up the counterspell? Because it's like, all right, all my stuff's instant speed, so I'll counter their spell if they do something good, and if not, I'll just cast my draw spell anyway. You know, I can do it at instant speed, so I really love counter spells in this kind of control deck with a bunch of instants, and for that reason, I really like Cast Out here. Another instant speed removal spell. It's a Banishing Light for 1 more mana, but you could cycle it, and it's instant speed. So I do really like Cast Out. But then there's Yorion for our 1 copy of Muldrifter. For our 1 copy of Muldrifter, we can go for Yorion. We can also try to play it as a companion. If we can beef this deck up to being a 60-card deck, but I'm not super confident I can get there, I'm just going to take Cast Out and be a little boring with this one as well. We don't have a lot of ways to win the game, but Hullbreaker, Horror, Shark Typhoon's hopefully enough, and we have a few random flying creatures, so I don't think we need the big old 8-mana enchantment that just like shuts down your opponent. So Charming Prince is yet another way to flicker the Muldrifter, but I am a coward, and I am not taking them over good counterspells, because I think that counterspells are just awesome in here, as I just did my whole spiel on, and again, we can't really sit there and be like, oh, we're the greatest flicker deck, let's grab all the flicker cards, when we have 1 enter the battlefield effect. Again, I don't think it would be awful to take all these flicker effects, but we're not taking them because of what our deck currently has. We'd be taking them and banking on pack 3 having a bunch of great enter the battlefield effects, which isn't a guarantee, so I'm just playing it safe, being a little boring, being a little mild with it. Again, our mana costs are pretty hard. I kind of like Glacial Fortress here, or even Rogran Triumph. It's a blue-white duel that we could cycle. But then there's also Censor, which would be fun, but doesn't counter spells all the time. Luckily, it does let you cycle it late game when your opponent has enough mana to where you can never counter anything with it anyway. And now, I think Consider is technically slightly better than Opt, because you could put a card into your graveyard with it. You could hit a flashback card, like Commit to Memory, or Memory Deluge. That being said, this Opt is way prettier, so we're going to take Opt. It's probably the most important pick of the whole draft. I don't think Siren Stormtamer is going to go in here, because all it does is counter something that targets you or a creature you control. Again, great for more aggressive tempo strategies, but not really for control here. A bunch of stuff we won't play. Let's just take Goblin Ruin Blaster, because I don't want anybody just running around playing Stone Rain in the cube. We don't need any of that nonsense. So we wield Mechagodzilla, so literally taking Ephemerate over Stone Cold nothing but Mechagodzilla. Now we still get Mechagodzilla anyway. Don't even know if we're playing it. Maybe we're supposed to even just take Concealed Courtyard. I think Mechagodzilla is way better than pick 12 card, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense for our deck. Neither do any of these. But I think this is a super solid pick, because it just goes into any mid-rangey or aggressive strategy. It's random, and people don't like variants. That is fair. We last picked the Charming Prince, so again, another pick that worked out super well for us. Luckily, nobody's trying to do the Flicker deck, because we got the 1 Muldrifter, and everybody's sad that they didn't get it. So now what do we have? We have Literal Time Warp. Oh my god. I want to take it so bad, but I don't know if it's the pick. It doesn't do a lot. Doesn't do a lot in your average control deck. I mean, late game, once we have a Hullbreaker Horror on the board, sure, it's huge, but so good when you have like Planeswalkers out where we don't really have Planeswalkers. We have Clonecrafter, which could be a really fun thing to flicker. Conjure a duplicate of a random card in your opponent's library into your hand, and then we can cast it as though we spent the mana of any color. That's pretty cool. Solid removal, Conclave Tribunal, but it is sorcery speed, which is a big turnoff for us. And then Jace is another win condition, as well as a great draw spell, so that's interesting. I'm going to take Clonecrafter here. Just definitely the wrong pick there, but another really fun flicker target there. Ooh, we could try the new Cosmos Elixir buff. Really good in a controlling strategy. This sits there and gains you life and lets you scry to mitigate some of the early game damage your opponent has done to you. And then once you stabilize, you're just drawing 2 cards a turn. 1 per turn plus 1 from Elixir. Pretty sick. Thassa's Oracle, another fun little alternate win con. Platinum Angel isn't great because there's just so much removal. Everybody's going to be playing removal and just kill this thing anyway by the time you have 7 mana. And Pact of Negation's a fun counterspell. It's not like super good unless you're trying to win the game out of nowhere. I guess it's real good with Hullbreaker Horror though. Imagine we tap out 7 mana for Hullbreaker Horror, our opponent responds with instant speed removal, and we Pact of Negation. Disgusting. It's Pact or Cosmos Elixir. I actually convinced myself of Pact of Negation there just because of Hullbreaker Horror. I want to live in Magical Christmas Land where that occurs one time. It'd be absolutely ridiculous. Ojutai's Command's okay, right? Like, it's not as good as it looks. Yeah, because one of the best abilities on this is to return a creature from your grave to the battlefield. We don't have a lot of those. This is mainly going to be gain 4 life counter spell against really aggressive strategies, or counter creature draw a card. Yeah, I mean, it's solid. It's still solid. I'm definitely going to play it, I think. And I think it's probably better than like Cathar Commando or Obstructionist, like solid little cycling instant speed dorks. Ooh, Ashiok's a finisher against other slow strategies, because this will mill 20 cards if it does not get hit. There is a teleportation circle again to throw on our Mole Drifter. Which is Scholar of the Lost Trove, pretty big flyer to try to end the game, as well as recasting some little draw spell from earlier. Could be cool. Thirst for Discovery is a lot of card draw for 3 mana. 3 mana instant speed, draw 3, discard a basic. Super sick. Or there's another counterspell. Wow, this pack's loaded. Ashiok, Thirst, Neutralize, Teleportation Circle, Scholar of the Lost Trove. Got stuff everywhere. I'm going to take the Neutralize. Maybe I'm going way counterspell heavy here just because I'm so... just because I generally don't run them super often. Maybe I'm over committing to them here because this is like the one time that I'm super okay with playing counterspells. But we'll see. So Patient Rebuilding sits there and draws you a million cards and mills your opponent, or Mind Flayer. Whenever this gets killed, you're kind of screwed, but if it doesn't get killed, let me just play this Stealer thing, and you can protect it with counterspells in this kind of deck. Mind Flayer, it's cooler than Patient Rebuilding. I've played Patient Rebuilding several times before because it's been in the cube for years, so take the slightly cooler card, the Mind Flayer. Not convinced it's better, though. So we have Skittering Surveyor for another card to flicker, Valorous Stance for another instant speed removal spell, Baral for a card that makes all of our counterspells also card filtering, or Angel of Sanctions for some sorcery speed, Banishing Light type removal. I feel like I want Valorous Stance, because I feel like I still am not super duper chocked full of removal. Although I don't have a lot to protect. Yeah, I'll take Baral. We did just take 5,000 counterspells, so we'll take the card that enjoys the fact that we took so many counterspells. So another instant speed piece of interaction into the Royal. Pretty solid. Or Lay Claim, which is a ton of mana. Worst case scenario, you get to cycle it, though. Best case scenario, use their best card against them. That's something I like doing, as you can tell by the fact that I took a Mind Flayer, so it's fine. I don't know, I think we're doing... I really just don't think you need too many ways to win the game in like a control deck like this. So I'm just going to take another good piece of cheap interaction to survive, rather than take just another finisher. And here I think I take Cave of the Frost Dragon and just play this over Plains. So now we have a man land, a creature land to try to beat our opponents with. Once we've ran out the board, once we've wrathed a few times, and everything's gone. Alright, Jace Wielder Mysteries. Try it out. Pretty hard to cast, but we do have 3 dual lands at least, which is good. I think we're definitely heavier into blue than white, so that's helpful as well for hitting triple blue. Brainstorm would be good in this deck too. We don't have any ways to shuffle our library, so it wouldn't be excellent, but it'd be solid. Instant speed, cheap draw. But Jace is up for the challenge. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah, we're not aggressive enough for Morkite Marauder. We'll just take a Thassa's Oracle. So, yeah, we've got the alternate win condition of just drawing too many cards and then playing a Jace or Thassa's Oracle. Not that I think that really happens often, but we'll find out. Ooh, Thirst for Discovery. That'll help that happen more often. And I'm not going to do the teleportation circle. Again, we just don't have a ton of enter the battlefield effects. Mind Flayer, maybe. Like, if Mind Flayer could work with it, that'd be really cool. But it doesn't. Because we flicker it and then we no longer control Mind Flayer, so we give them back whatever the first thing we stole was. And just steal one thing again. Agent of Treachery. That is a flicker effect. That would work. Alright, so we get to cut 10 cards out of here, and we're definitely going to do that. These kind of control decks want a lot of lands, because we want to make it to our 7 mana to close out the game as soon as possible, and we really don't want to miss our 3rd and 4th land drop, or we're just dead in the water if we can't cast our interaction. So we're definitely 17 or 18 lands even. So first things first, I'm shutting off the card styles, because I do not enjoy them. The parallax styles, that is. I do really like the opt, though. Just don't like my cards to be having a lot of motion. I like the static images. So I don't know what Dusk Legion Zealot's doing in here. Crystalline Giant, we're not doing that kind of thing. Probably not doing Thassa's Oracle. Could be running Clone Crafter just to do the flicker effects with the Muldrifter, but I feel like we're supposed to just cut like the flicker stuff. Like cut Ephemerate, maybe Charming Prince. Maybe Brineborn Cutthroat, maybe Clone Crafter. Maybe Teferi's Protection, although now we have permanents. We have a weird amount of creatures. Not a million creatures, but a lot for like a double Wrath deck. With card draw to dig to the Wraths. Commit is a 4-drop piece of interaction. Not a Delver deck, most likely. Okay, so we have 7 cards in the maybe pile. That's not even enough to cut the deck down. We still need to cut more after all these, so I guess we cut all these, and then we still cut another one. Is it the Muldrifter, since we cut all the flicker effects? It maybe is. Could be Bubble Snare. Could be Pact of Negation. There are some areas where I am living in Magical Christmas Land here, where I'm trying to have a Hullbreaker Horror out and Pact of Negation at the same time. But then other areas where I'm denying Magical Christmas Land, like cutting all the flicker effects and Muldrifter, just being like, nah, that's never going to happen. So there's a bit of a back and forth here, a little bit of push and pull that's not the greatest. I mean, we still have Restoration Angel for Muldrifter. And I'm probably still playing Restoration Angel just like no matter what. Just the 4-mana 3/4 Flash Flyer. Get-ins, trades with something, or maybe, you know, it's just a flyer to just start chipping away at our opponent. Doomscar's kind of a 3-drop, Vanquish Sword's kind of a 5-drop. That's if they have 3 creatures out. Seems like the most reasonable time to be casting it. Maybe I cut Pact of Negation and Bubble Snare here so we can play 18 lands. Although cheap card draw helps hit your lands, but we don't have a lot of cheap card draw. We have Opt and Thirst for Discovery, and Thirst for Discovery just like it incentivizes us to discard a land as well. So I don't know if that even counts towards card draw to dig out lands. We have a land that scries when it hits the board. We've got a good amount of card draw. I think we are probably an 18 land deck. I'm considering cutting Pact of Negation and Bubble Snare and just keeping Muldrifter in for for the memes. We just put another land in here, probably an island. 15 blue, 8 white. That seems like another island to me. 8 blue and then 8 blue, 7 white sources and 3 that are both. So we're slightly skewed to blue. Does look like we should be really skewed to blue, judging by the 8 and then 15 on the deck details. Let's see how our curve looks. Yeah, I mean, we need that double white on Doomscar. That's the biggest draw to playing as many planes as possible. Yeah, I don't think I want to cut another plains. I could see an argument for cutting like one more, but definitely not two more. Triple blue on Jace is real difficult. And we've got double blue on these, we've got double blue on that, double blue, double blue. The double blue on like the 5 and 7 mana card, they definitely matter less. Because by the time we have 5 lands, the odds of out of our 5 lands, 2 of them being blue sources, or out of our 7 lands, 2 of them being blue sources, they're pretty good. The problem is, what are the odds of having, 2 of your 3 lands be blue sources, or 2 of your 3 lands being white sources? That's where restrictive mana costs really get you. That being said, are we countering stuff turn 3 every time? This is Cube. It's got to be powerful cards as soon as they hit 3 or 4 mana, so we actually probably do want to hold up the mana to counter things as soon as we have 3. So yeah, I think I'm keeping the mana base as is. We have push and pull here. I do wish we had 1 or 2 more duels, but that would be asking for almost like every single dual land in blue-white in the cube. I think we're doing okay on mana. It'd be nice if we were doing even better, because the 3 drops are going to get pretty difficult, and Jace is certainly hard to cast. But here we are. We've got a blue-white control deck here, and we're going to see how well it functions in the January 2022 Arena Cube. I do want to put some fancy lands in here, because what was the point of getting the lands if I'm never going to use them? We've got a Praise Bolas here. Praise to the God Pharaoh. And what shall we call this deck before we head into round 1? Oh, that's going to be way too long. That's going to be way too long. I'm just going to call it Moldrifter Flicker, because we are barely playing any Flicker. We have 1 Flicker spell and 1 Moldrifter, but one time we're going to live the dream. I was going to name it a Moldrifter and a Dream, but that is way beyond the character limit on Arena. So here we are now in round 1. See how the blue-white control fares in this cube meta. Slow hand, a little sketchy for that reason, but the mana's pretty great. We have the triple blue for the turn 4 Jace, if the board state allows that. If not, we just hold up an Ojutize command. Worst case scenario, gain some life and draw a card. Best case scenario, counterspell, draw a card. Now we have a Wrath effect. Feels pretty nice. Let's see what we've got now. Turn 2 from our opponent on mono green. No plays. We don't have a turn 2 play either, so. Alright, turn 3 Rishkar. So a bit of an awkward hand from our opponent, but they did have the mulligan. We do have turn 3 Glacial Fortress, which pretty much solves any mana issues this hand was going to have. Pretty excellent. I'm just going to slam down the Banishing Light with a ton of 4-mana interaction in hand. We're going to exile this Rishkar. Hold up all our later game interaction. Augur of Autumn from our opponent. They do get the land off the top from that. If they get to Coven, they can also cast creatures off the top. So I could slam down a Jace. Jace would be at 5 loyalty, which is enough to survive a hit from Augur of Autumn, but then I'm not holding up any interaction. So I don't feel like that's great. I think I'd rather, against mono green, just hold up Ojutize command. If they don't play a creature spell that needs to be countered, then we just Memory Deluge. So 5 mana now, mono green. I mean, Augur of Autumn just alone, if this stays on the board, it's a pretty good deal for them. Anytime they have a land on top of their library, they're just drawing an extra card that turn, essentially getting that land out of the way for other spells to be drawn. Love Struck Beast. We can't counter that because they're casting the sorcery, right? So we can find out. Yeah, no. That's what I thought. So that resolves. Maybe we just go for Vanquish the Horde instead. That'll kill everything they have on board, get the Augur out of the way. That would cost us 5 mana, so we don't hold up a counterspell the turn next, but we do get to Memory Deluge and then just Vanquish the Horde. And Memory Deluge, we're going to try to hit some kind of removal that can kill whatever they play after our Wrath. So Cast Out's perfect, Mind Flayer's great. I think I take just those 2. And then we cast the Vanquish here. Now, if they play just one thing this turn, we Mind Flayer or we Cast Out. Gem Razor. Well, they did play just one thing. We also have Commit, which is great. So we have 5 mana. Don't have enough to do 2 things unless I Valorous Stance and Thirst for Discovery, but that would be okay. I mean, we can kill Gem Razor with that and then leave all of this interaction for other spells. I kind of like that. And we just pass turn for now. Unless I want to Thirst hit land for turn right now, but I don't think I do. I think I'd rather be able to hold up Ojutai's command if they slam down a 6-drop pre-combat or anything weird. Actually, at 18 life, we probably just take the hit from Gem Razor and kill it in the end step. Like, we have so much here. We can definitely... We've got breathing room to take a little extra damage to play it a little... Play it a little more efficient with our removal spells and all that. Sawtusk Demolisher. So if that resolves and it mutates, they're doing a lot of stuff. If I destroy Gem Razor, the Sawtusk Demolisher resolves and they have a 6/6 trample on the board. So I don't think I want to stance Gem Razor. I think at this point I just want to pop the Ojutai's command and just counter that so they don't blow up our stuff and get back their Rishkar. And say 2 mana from our opponent here. There could be like a Veil of Summer or something. I have not seen the cube list. So now we have 6 mana. That's enough to cast Valorous Stance plus Into the Royal or Cast Out or Commit, any of that stuff. So I think we're just going on Valorous Stance now. Wow, yeah, this has worked really well. Just the amount of card draw we've had. Now we just go 1 for 1 with all of their threats for the rest of the game and still have stuff left over. We still have more card draw with Thirst for Discovery. This deck has just ran really hot here. It did help that our opponent was off to not a great start. But it just feels like we've really got things unlocked game 1 here. Can let that resolve. We don't have any way to counter that. We could put the spell back in there. Actually, that seems kind of sick. Just forcing them to redraw a hexproof spell. Once they're potentially out of threats to protect. That's going to be a really dead draw. If we can just kill everything else they have first. Copy an activated or triggered ability, an instant or sorcery. Okay, so I'm a little scared about their ability to copy instants or sorceries, but the rest of this doesn't matter unless they can resolve something else. Unless they can keep something else on the board. Alright. So we have 7 mana now. We can cast our Memory Deluge to look at the top 7 and draw 2. We could just cast out Lithoform Engine. I mean, while they only have 1 mana up, and then we still have 3 mana up. Can Into the Royal if they somehow place some weird haste card. Yeah, I'm just gonna deal again, just 1 for 1 with all their threats, and they do scoop them up here, just to stop them from potentially doing some weird sorcery that spits some tokens out and doubling it or anything like that. Because we deal with that. They play anything that doesn't have haste, then we deal with it when we untap. And yeah, then they draw the Blossoming Defense, which does nothing for them at that point. Really, really nice run for our deck there. See if we can keep that up as we head into round 2. And now I gotta check my phone real quick because there was somebody just beating on my door like 10 minutes ago. Yeah, no idea what that was about. Alright. Opponent goes first. We have the Doomscar early game. We have 2 blue. We need another for Jace. We still have Memory Deluge turn 4. I mean, it's a bit awkward, but we'll go for it. See how it works. There we go. We've got the triple blue. Now it's not perfect, but pretty great. Memory Deluge, make sure that we hit whatever we're looking for. Or at least helps hit whatever we're looking for. Alright, so Rakdos Sacrifice it is with a Blood Artist and a Dread Wanderer to start it out. We could just slam a Doomscar down here right now to get this Blood Artist off the board. That doesn't seem horrible to me. It's probably not worth it, though. Until they put a little more out. Dread Wanderer can come back, but not till they're pretty much out of cards. Ooh, Solemn Simulacrum, okay. So, blowing up a Simulacrum with a Doomscar is not the greatest thing ever. We're going to take 4 here if we just pass. But then we get to Memory Deluge, and maybe Doomscar a little harder. I'm going to go for it. Memory Deluge here, go to 14. Then Blood Artist is going to chip in for 3 damage. Alright, Chandra's horrible for us. Because Chandra plus Blood Artist is really bad, plus Doomscar doesn't kill Planeswalkers, so Chandra's going to keep hitting us. Which is not ideal. A Wrath does not clear this kind of board. See what Deluge gets us here. Well, another Wrath. And then Baral and Saw It Coming. I think we just take Saw It Coming and the Wrath. Commit does get rid of Chandra. Wow, yeah, the Chandra Blood Artist combo there, they're chipped in for so much damage there. If we Doomscar now, we're taking 3 and going to 7 life, and then Chandra just goes off, hits us for 2 more, we're down to 5. That is not great. But I mean, what's the alternative, right? Like, just commit Chandra and then take 4 and go to 6? And then when we Wrath, Blood Artist is going to hit us for even more. It feels like we have to just pop Doomscar here. Maybe I should have just done the turn 3 Doomscar there. It would have stopped a lot of damage over time. Just getting Blood Artist's ability off the board before they cast that Chandra. See what they've got here. They have a ton of cards in hand. 5 cards in hand, 5 mana up. Kolaghan's Command, 2 to us, bring a creature back from the grave. Blood Artist, activate Chandra, we go to 1 life. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. It's probably lethal this turn, too. They just need any 1 mana burn spell. Could be Shock, Skewer the Critics, Play with Fire, all that kind of stuff. Yep, Pillar Flame will do it. Wow, that was a really great Rakdos aggro start. I think that I didn't evaluate Blood Artist as big of a threat as I should have there. I should have just popped the Wrath immediately because we're killing a Blood Artist. Sure, we're only killing 2 things and one of them can come back from the grave eventually, that Dread Wanderer. But we're killing a Blood Artist and Blood Artist just stacks up into so much damage so quickly. That was wild. I think that Blood Artist did probably half the damage we were dealt. I guess just a third, because it was only triggering off the Elementals and then the Wrath, so it was 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, I think, total. But it was a lot. That Blood Artist was certainly the nail in our coffin for sure. So, mono green so far, they start with a Dryad Green Seeker. think I just like being able to seal away that rather than just bouncing it here. Probably just going to exile that so it keeps them from drawing cards. So Green Seeker is kind of similar to the Augur of Autumn. Just if they ever have a land on top of their library, they just draw it into their hands. They get the lands out of the way, keep drawing cards. So pretty nice. Heliod Suncrown. So green-white. Could be green-white, like +1/+1 counters. Just green-white aggro in general. Heliod benefits a lot from a lot of life gain, but even by himself can just give things life gain. That life link there. Okay, so they pass turn. They're obviously going to use Green Seeker to draw cards here rather than try to damage us. So we'll just go to our turn. And I'd rather seal away this Green Seeker in the end step or hold on to Into the Royal or Disdainful Stroke. They could have like a 4-drop here. Oh, it even auto-passed after they use the ability. I guess I have to respond when they put it on the stack if I want to kill it. That's fine, though. I mean, we'll just hold Disdainful Stroke up, I guess. I guess we can Into the Royal, their little 1/1 lifelinker here. Which is kind of cute. It's not super good, but it's probably fine. Just get lifelink off the board so Heliod doesn't go off as quickly. And so Legion's Landing flips less quickly. Actually does seem pretty okay to me. Like, we're already, like, we've got way more cards in hand than them at this point already, and we haven't even done any, like, card draw, and we have Moldrifter and Ojutai's command coming up, so we're certainly, it's okay if we go down some cards to trade 1-for-1 our cards into weaker stuff here, because we've got more than enough card draw to get back into the game after we've spent everything. I kind of like seal awaying on Dry Seeker now, and then we just Disdainful Stroke whatever they play next turn. We don't have to hold up the 4 for Ojutai's command when we have the 2 for Disdainful Stroke. Now, this does pan out poorly for us if they just play like 2 2-drops, like it looks like they're doing, Ambitious Farmhand and something else, but it's played really well if they just play a 5-drop or something like that. And honestly, I don't even think we would Ojutai's command a Farmhand, because they're not going to have Coven anytime soon, so this is just a 1/1. It does get them that Plains, though, which is nice. Alright, so as much as I'd love to slam down a Moldrifter, it's definitely better to hold up Command, Disdainful Stroke, and Cast Out. And our worst case scenario is that we just cast out Heliod and not have to worry about that happening at all. Take the 1 damage from Ambitious Farmhand, and there's Icing Death, Frost Tyrant. Would I rather draw the card right now or play the counterspell that hits less things and only hits stuff that costs 4 or greater? But at this point, Disdainful Strokes hits everything that matters, and Cast Out can kill stuff after it resolves too. I think I just want to draw a card here. Maybe I'm getting greedy. Probably greedy. But I'm going to draw the card there. There's a Doom Scar. We have 6 mana, 4 for Cast Out, 2 for Disdainful Stroke. I don't think I'm foretelling Doom Scar then, so I can hold up both of these if need be. Faithful Disciple. Alright, a 2/2 Vigilance. Pretty fine. They get a card from its spellbook when it dies, which could be Anointed Procession, Cathar's Crusade. Okay, it could be some nasty stuff, so whenever I Doom Scar, that's actually going to be a little sketchy. But I'm definitely not just going to cast out the 1 Disciple. At least I'm probably not. Well, next turn I'll have 7 mana, which is enough to cast Moldrifter and hold up Disdainful Stroke. I feel like this cast out is just... I mean, it's saved for Heliod, is it not? Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's gotta be just Heliod. If we kill every other creature on their board, though, Heliod doesn't do anything, so maybe because we have Doomscar, we don't. Ooh, Shepherd of the Flock. Alright, bring that Heliod back then. And it's a 3-drop, not a 4-drop, so Disdainful Stroke doesn't hit it. Casting Ojutai's command instead of Disdainful Stroke is certainly not looking ideal. So we're not going to cast Doomscar, which means we're just holding up Disdainful Stroke mana, so we just cast Moldrifter and Hold up Disdainful Stroke. We're not casting Doomscar, we're not casting Thirst for Discovery. Yep. We'll draw 2 instead of 3, but also get a card onto the board. Okay. So now they probably cast Heliod, cast Shepherd of the Flock. Heliod is a creature. Once both are on board, right? It just needs 5 devotion. Yep. Alright, that's terrifying. So now we just have to pop Doomscar. Because we have to pop Doomscar anyway, we might as well stop this damage, right? Let them get their thing into their spellbook. Because they're going to get it either way. We don't get to know what they draft. I think it's hidden information. Yeah, so we have no idea what they grabbed there. So Doomscar, then we have 3 mana up, we Disdainful Stroke. And if we don't need to Disdainful Stroke, we Thirst for Discovery, and we have the basic in hand. I probably didn't even need to Wrath yet. But I have the Refuel spell, the Thirst for Discovery. Teleportation Circle. An artifact or creature, so it doesn't do anything yet. Yeah, it doesn't do anything yet. So I don't think it... I think I just let that resolve. Ooh, Hullbreaker Horror. Oh, we're going to town. Alright, Hullbreaker Horror with the 1 mana opt up. Yeah, with 2 mana up, Disdainful Stroke or opt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So Hullbreaker Horror is going to be absolutely nasty here. Should lock down the game. Unless their entire hand's removed. If they have like 3 removal spells, they can kill the Hullbreaker Horror. We can only bounce them so many times before they resolve a removal spell. We only have 1 counter spell in hand. It only counters something big. They grab a land? Sure. I could just slam down Horror and then opt to put that back in their hand. Could rather end step Hullbreaker Horror to play around sorcery speed removal. There it is. And there's a concession from our opponent. Hullbreaker Horror comes in, arms stretched, says, "What up?" Our opponent says, "No, I'm out of here." All right, so we are 2-1 as we head into round 4. We are on the play. Awkward mana distribution here, not being able to cast this Doomscar, but we still have Saw It Coming, Shark Typhoon, Memory Deluge. These are really good cards, and we curve out 3, 4, 5. We're probably just cycling a Shark Typhoon turn 3 if they don't play something we need to counter. I'm going to keep this. I maybe shouldn't, but if I hit 1 land, I get Deluge, which Deluge like pulls towards the white source. If our opponent isn't super aggro, Doomstar is still going to be good late game. So unless this is a matchup where we have to slam down Doomscar turn 3, then I think this hand's pretty good. And even if it is a matchup where we have to slam down Doomscar turn 3 or turn 4, then like what's the alternative? We mulligan the hand, then we just draw a hand that doesn't have Doomscar anyway. I believe we're foretelling Saw It Coming. Because in order to cast Doomscar, we need double white anyway. So by the time we have double white, we'll have 5 lands, right? We play this turn 3, and then we play white source, white source. Yeah, this makes it so if we draw like an opt or something, we can cast that while still holding up a counter spell. We are against mono red, at least so far, so that's pretty threatening to us. We've hit 0 lands so far, which is certainly really bad for us. I think we hold up Saw It Coming or Shark Typhoon. We have to just slam down Shark Typhoon when they attack, but if they try to cast something pre-combat, we might Saw It Coming. So the Shark Typhoon, it's like we cycle it, pay 1 for the X, and trade with their Stone Coil Serpent to slow down their damage here. It's only protection from multicolored, not monocolored. But they might have an instant speed burn spell to deal with this. Hopefully not. If they do, that puts some counters on the egg to get it closer to flipping as well. There's the instant speed burn. Not ideal. We still draw the card though, and it's one of our white sources. We only need one more now to get that Doomscar going, and we have the mana to cast Memory Deluge. And their light up the stage just hits land, so here we go. White source, Memory Deluge for the next white source, Doomscar next turn. That is our way out of this start from our opponent. It's not that aggressive until the egg flips, but the egg's pretty likely to flip. Needs 7 or more counters on it. It only has 3 because they cast light up the stage for the spectacle cost rather than the full cost. Okay. I thought it had 5 because they cast a 3 mana spell and a 2 mana spell, but they cast the 3 mana spell for only 1. Alright, so there's Vioshino Pyromancer. Does some damage. And straight to combat hit us for 1 past the turn is what it looks like. Yep. Doomscar could get us back in this one. There we go, white sources. We kind of have to just take the untapped planes. Like, I feel like I just slammed down Doomscar next turn. I guess I'm only getting threatened for like 3 damage, but if they have instants and sorceries, that 3 turns into 7 real easily, and I'm at 15. We'd rather have the blue-white land that scries 1, or the just mono-white land that could be a creature later. They both come to play tapped. Could also just take an untapped source, but turn 6 I'm just going to play another 5 mana card, so I think I'd take one of the tapped lands. I think I'd rather have Cave of the Frost Dragon. We've got 4 blue sources and 3 white sources. Once we have these 2, yeah. Into the Royal is a good draw. Alright, Doomscar, please go off. I don't know what they could have to stop this. Alright, nothing. So 3 cards in hand. See if we can deal with it all. It's 5 mana from them now. Mana Form Hellkite it is. Pretty terrifying, and a Get to Lava Runner, less scary, but still some damage. So we can spend 4 mana. Now we actually do need 6 mana. We actually do need 6 mana turn 6 here, because I want to bounce Hellkite and then counter it. I guess I could do that for 5 if I just Into the Royal without drawing the card, but I really want to draw that card. Then we take 2, go to 11. Should be decent breathing room. Yeah, I want to draw that card here. I'm going to Into the Royal kicked on the Hellkite. And then I'm going to saw it coming. Alright, there it is. Counter it. Take 2 down to 11. They have 2 cards in hand now. We can just slam down Hullbreaker Horror this turn. Or Memory Deluge or Mind Flare. Against Mono Red, slamming down Hullbreaker Horror and just blocking Lava Runner could probably work well. If it doesn't, it's because they have like something massive like Banefire. And even if they have Banefire, it's well, now we can't surprise them with Hullbreaker Horror, but we can still just cast it and they can't really attack, can they? If I let this resolve, they blow up Glacial Fortress and I don't cast Horror. Yeah, well, here's Horror. Are you gonna kill it with 1 red mana? If not, I think I'm doing pretty well. There's no 1 mana active treason, right? I don't think there is. Alright, there's the concession. Mono Red just does not have ways to kill a 7/8, and because our deck is pretty much all instants, they know we're just going to bounce all their creatures anytime anything spicy happens. Keep ourselves nice and protected while we cast our draw spells and everything else. So Hullbreaker Horror wins another one. Definitely a monstrous card, as we all already knew, but good to see it can do monstrous things in the cube as well, as Garfield intended. Right, turn 5, yeah. Interaction, we got removal spells and a Wrath. If we're playing like the mirror match, this hand's super bad, but any mid-range or aggro deck, I'm pretty happy with this. We'll get rid of the 3rd island. I'm definitely going to draw Jace now that I did that. Uh-oh. We might be against a pretty multicolored deck. Could have some really high impact stuff later in the game. They do start with a triome, so 3 colors of mana available. And the Field of the Dead turn 2. Alright, I am always scared of 5-color deck. The Field of the Dead deck has always been excellent in the cube, and it's certainly something I'm going to be doing again at some point. Alright, we're casting a Thirst for Discovery here. Doing all the standard early game plays. Turn 3 they go for a Cultivator's Caravan. Yep, that's a mana rock. Could cast that out. I think I would rather just Thirst for Discovery. Oh, these are not the cards I want to see. I want to hit lands every turn. I don't think I'm discarding this basic. The question is, what do I discard then? Our Wrath effect is probably still going to be good eventually. Kind of like just discarding some sorcery speed stuff, like Banishing Light. Maybe we do discard Banishing Light, Vanquish the Horde, and just leave all our instants, but I feel like Valor's Stance maybe. Or Into the Royal. Yeah, because we can just hold the mana up to counter their stuff as soon as they play it. We don't need to bounce it. Although if I'm countering everything, am I going to cast Vanquish the Horde? Like, no. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. We're going to discard Valor's Stance, Banishing Light. That's what I'm going with. Oh, we draw Ojutai's Command. Awesome. Counter creature, draw a card. At the ready. Alright, a tapped land here, so they only have 4 mana. Vastwood Surge is the play. Get 2 more mana. We can counter it, or we can counter what they're ramping into. Again, I could be doing this wrong, but I'm just going to counter whatever they ramp into. Because the way I think about it is the biggest reason to like counter their ramp is if you have your own threats on board and you want to keep them off tempo. But like I have nothing on board, I'm not doing anything. I'm not really gaining anything by slowing them down that much. Unless they start casting like 2 spells a turn, then I can't keep up with the counter spells. That would be the biggest reason. Oh yeah, because Field of the Dead just kills me. Well, that was definitely wrong. Totally forgot they even played a Field of the Dead. But at least we get to counter Professor Onyx really easily. Yeah, we'll just stroke that. Literal counterspell. Alright. Literal double blue counterspell. Gets us bad in the 5-color matchup. That is wild. I was not looking at the mana base, but I did not think that I had to check whether or not they had exact double blue up. It turns out I was very wrong. Just cast out Professor Onyx now, but then we don't have the mana for a counterspell. Yeah, we really should have countered the ramp spell here. Five mana. Professor Onyx lives another turn. I gotta hold up counter mana. Played this one super wrong, and we're definitely dead because of it. Ruin Crab. Alright, go for it. We might draw Jace. If we don't, we'll just Vanquish the Horde. Like if they mill Jace. Ooh, they did mill Memory, which does shuffle our whole graveyard back into our library. So if they do mill Jace, eventually we just cast Memory, shuffle everything back. Shuffles their stuff back as well, and lets them draw 7, so not an excellent card, but it's interesting against the Ruin Crab. The better half is definitely commit. So we take 2 now. They have 8 mana up. Pass turn. They're holding up another counterspell here. We try to kill Professor Onyx. It's like secretly, it could like secretly be mono blue 5 color. Like they had a similar start to us where they were like a blue control deck. And then they got the pack 2 Field of the Dead and just went for it. That's a distinct possibility. Mythos of Nethrite to destroy the cast out. Alright. That'll do it. Professor Onyx is still on the board. We have a bunch of counter spells, nothing to deal with all the threats on the board. We can kill 2 2/2s with Vanquish, but it doesn't kill Professor. We can bounce Professor, but then we don't have double blue to counter her if they just recast her immediately. I'm just going to scoop them up here. We're not going to find a victory off an active Field of the Dead. We've got no way to stop Professor Onyx either. I really just punted that one away, not countering the ramp spell there. Alright, another mono blue hand, but I think I'd take it again with cheap cards to play. We can cycle neutralize as well. Dig in for land. We probably will cycle neutralize turn 2 here. Playing against blue-white as well. And there's a white source for Restoration Angel, which is awesome. Alright, well, if they don't play anything, I guess we slam down a Restoration Angel. They probably counter it. Do we want to counter their Solemn? Yeah, because we can draw a card when we do it and still have counter spells for the next thing. Still lots of counter spells for the next thing, jeez. Rather be able to slam down Restoration Angel or foretell the Sot coming for a 2-mana counter in the future. I think I would rather be able to slam down Restoration Angel just right now. Cosmos Elixir. It's going to draw them an extra card every turn. Or gain 2, scry 1 every turn. Those are both a pretty big deal. Because I'm not going to be able to cast anything later anyway, I'm going to go ahead and commit this to force them to redraw it. Now I can cast Restoration Angel and Disdainful Stroke in the same turn. Cold Steel Heart, sure. Mana Rock for blue. Pass turn, we go Restoration Angel, probably gets countered. Or removed. No. Restoration Angel completely happens. Do we hit for 3 here? We do. Alright, we've got a threat on the board, now we just counter everything they do. There's the Elixir. Stroke that, hold on to Sot coming because it's the better counterspell. Countering anything. Just pass turn again, it looks like. Yep. Now we have Baral, which is interesting. Draw a card, discard a card if we cast any more counterspells here. Pretty cool with that. At this point, I think I have enough mana that I'm not foretelling Sot coming. Just just to kind of hide information from my opponent. Because if your opponent's blue-white and they foretell something, I'm pretty sure it's basically just Doomscar or Saw It Coming, and that's it. I guess there's probably the mythic rare that spits out a bunch of angels if you foretold it as well, so I guess there's 3 options. Description of Insight. Return 2 things to hand. They kicked it, so they're going to make a 3/3 and bounce our things? That's fine. If they're not drawing cards off this, like make a 3/3 bounce our things and then we bounce their 3/3. I'm actually okay with that. Like, that just resolves. That just straight up resolves. Wait, what? Why are the special colored ones not the ones that they're doing? Okay, alright. Wait, what? It said they stride. Oh, they do. Oh my god, they do all of them. Choose any number instead. Okay, alright. I completely misread the card. I thought it was one of the choose 2s if you kick it. Alright, yeah, I should have countered that then to just stop their card draw. I don't know, that was weird to me, because it like shows in 2 fancy colors, so I just assume when I see the fancy colors, I'm like, so these are the things that are happening. But I guess just the bland regular color thing is also happening. Just everything's happening, so I don't know why it did colors at all then. If just everything's happening. Seek 3 non-land cards. Wow, okay. I guess we'll counter this draw spell. Seems like a little bit of a better draw spell. 3 guaranteed non-land cards. So we'll draw, discard on Baral, probably discarding Vanquish the Horde. Ooh, Mole Drifter for Restoration Angel. Maybe we discard Valorous Stance instead, but in case they have like something that makes a bunch of tokens. Feels less likely than just having a big creature for Valorous Stance. Plus Valorous Stance could save one of our cards, which is nice. Alright, so we're not end-stepping Restoration Angel. We're going to do the fancy play with Mole Drifter here. We're going to evoke Restoration Angel it. Draw 4 and keep it. Well, we did the deck goal. We did the thing. The most massive possible Mole Drifter, and we drew another Wrath effect to replace the one we discarded. But now we don't have any counter magic up, but we wouldn't have either way. We don't have any more counter spells. But now our opponent knows the shields are down. Destroy all non-giants here, I'm guessing. It doesn't say, but they spent 5, so that would be yes. I will give something indestructible here, I think. It's probably Restoration Angel. I don't think we have any other flicker for the Mole Drifter, so just save the best creature. So we don't have any instants to go with our Hullbreaker Horror, but we have 10 mana. It's enough to cast that and nothing else. So we're probably just end-stepping it and hoping to go off after we untap. Like if they just dump all their mana into Realm Cloak Giant and we dump it all into Hullbreaker Horror, we'll be doing super well. We will be having a very good time. Mind Flayer. We can bounce that with our Horror to get our thing back in the future. Oh god. What is that? Well, the best thing it does is create angel tokens, so Hullbreaker Horror is actually really good against that because we just permanently kill the tokens. Yeah, and then we'll just attack her with Hullbreaker Horror. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. That was a little scary, but we're all good. Oh, now we have an instant. That's really good. So Mind Flayer, bounce the token, steal their Mind Flayer. Yeah, bounce the token. We're going to take their Mind Flayer, which means we get our Restoration Angel back. And we get to hold up an instant here and kill Sarah permanently rather than bounce Sarah. We can even play Jace and hold up this Opt, which is cool. Because we also bounce their Mana Rock here. Lower them on mana a little bit. Alright, now we basically have a counterspell in hand. Well, a temporary counterspell, a Remand with our Opt. But they've already cast the Wrath effect side of Realm Cloak Giant, so all it can do now is just put a 7/7 on the board. So 3 mana up here. They have 1 card in their hand we don't know about. Otherwise, it's a Cold Steel Heart and a Realm Cloaked Giant. Neither of which are a problem for us, I don't think. Sphinx's Revelation. They choose to go small on it because then they could still recast it after I bounce it here. I am going to bounce it here, though. Because then they just have to dump all their mana into it again, and they still die. Yeah, they scoop them up. Because now we know they just have a 7/7, a Cold Steel Heart, and a draw spell. So all they do is cast the draw spell again and don't have any mana up for anything else. Alright. So 4-2 now. No matter what, we've got a positive win rate here. Always happy with that. But I think 5 wins is where we break even and get the amount of gold we spent in back out. So that is where it's super at. Still very sad about the game against the 5-color deck where I just didn't counter their rampant growth kind of thing. I definitely should have. As you can tell, as I said, when drafting this strategy, I am pretty uncomfortable with this kind of strategy, and that's a big reason why I drafted it, so you're going to see some pretty poor gameplay. There have definitely been a good amount of punts throughout this video, but I think the deck itself is quite solid. So I don't really think I want to cycle this Neutralize when I have like Restoration Angel just play on 4 and start hitting with. So I can easily, again, hold up these counter spells pretty much all game. And the reason I didn't foretell saw it coming is because if I did that, I'm not holding up counter spells anymore. I guess I probably should have foretold this on 2, and then I could still have, you know, Neutralize and Stroke Up on 3, because it doesn't matter if you have Disdainful Stroke Up on turn 2, there's nothing to counter with it. Just trying to make a small thing, a little 1-2, a little 2-3, because of the ability. Super fine by me. Block and kill that with a Restoration Angel. We can also kill it with a Seal Away. I don't think I'm going to go for the block and kill with Restoration Angel because it's a pretty bold play. It's saying, alright, I don't care if I can't counter whatever you play here. And I don't care if you have any combat tricks or instants of your own, like counter spells and stuff like that. Zanguirus, a 4/4 Reach Trample. We can kill that with a Seal Away. I'm fine with that. Let's play Restoration Angel. Now Hydra can't attack us, and when Anguirus attacks us, we seal it away, and we still hold up a counterspell because we have 5 mana now. So it's feeling pretty good. We definitely need to hit some card draw. That's where we really get into the game. But as it stands, we can kind of deal with everything for now. Hopefully. But that's how these control decks really function, is they just 1-for-1 stop everything your opponent's doing and then cast a really big draw spell of some kind so that you have more cards than your opponent. Silumgar's Command. Counter a non-creature spell and return a permanent to its hand. They tap out for that? They tap out for that? Then I think I'm gonna do so as well. I'll hold on to Disdainful Stroke, because I can do 2 counter spells next turn if I hold on to my 2 mana one. Because I don't have 4 blue mana. If I had 4 blue mana, I could do both of these, but I can't. So let's do... I might want to cycle Neutralize. We'll do Saw It Coming. I'm not going to foretell that. Alright, well we did hit the next blue mana, so we could have held up both the double blues. But it's fine, they will probably play a 4-drop of some kind. Maybe I should have attacked there. Gilded Lotus, sure. I'll counter whatever you cast with that rather than that. Eska's Chariot, yeah, I'll counter that. It's weaker than the old version, but it's still very powerful. It's the nerfed version. They only get 1 cat, but they only have to crew it with 1 cat. So they're down to 2 cards in hand. Muldrifter is such a great card here. 7 mana is not enough to cast Muldrifter and Neutralize, unfortunately. So we're shields down for a turn if I cast Muldrifter, unless I just evoke it. What I'm about to do is a travesty, but I'm gonna evoke Muldrifter. Alright, cast out is pretty great. I should not have played my land, because I would definitely want to play a Temple of Enlightenment. Do we win the race 3-2? It feels like we do, but we're already down 2. I don't know, it feels like we do. Just get in there. Math is for blockers, and I'm currently in my combat step, so whatever. So if they cast something like really big, but it doesn't have a big enter the battlefield effect, it just resolves. Uh-oh. Pelucranos can fight Restoration Angel and kill it if they play smart. It can also escape eventually if we don't exile it. I feel like I hold on to cast out here. But now, like, whenever I want to cast it out, they just respond by fighting before my cast out goes off and my Restoration Angel dies. Oh, or they tap out. Alright, now I definitely kill Tendershoot Dryad, so they don't get a bunch of Saprolings. And then we cast out Pelucranos and they have 1 card in hand. The top deck war is here, and we have a Jace to draw extra cards. Do I cast this or hold up cast out? If I cast this, I'm only drawing 1 card, so I need to hit an untapped source. I need to hit an untapped source if I want to cast out this turn. I think I hold on to Jace and just cast out Pelucranos, and I do it before they untap. That's another turn where me having played that Plains last turn instead of Temple of Enlightenment really hoses me, because if I did it the other way around, then obviously I would have been able to play an untapped land this turn instead of a tapped land. So alright, shields are down. Let's see what they have. 2 cards in hand. Practically infinite mana, but we've gotten rid of a lot of really big threats, so hopefully not too many more. Karuga's pretty good. Draws them 2 cards when they play it? No, just 1. Oh, for each other permanent they control with mana value 3 or greater, that's how many cards they draw. So Karuga is big enough to fill that role, but Karuga only checks other cards, so they only have the Gilded Lotus to draw off of. Alright, and Cultivate, get more lands. They've already got plenty, so that's fine. And we are winning the race, the 3 versus 2 thing. I was correct to be attacking, because now the life totals are even, but I'm attacking first and attacking for 1 more. However, Now that they have a Karuga on the board, I gotta find some way to get rid of that, which could involve chump blocking. So they've had one escape card already, and a card that returns stuff from grave. No, this doesn't return stuff from grave. How likely? They are splashing black, so I feel like they could very well have some other ways to utilize their graveyard, so I'm going to mill myself rather than them. So Karuga single-handedly kills Jace. If they just attack Jace with Karuga, Jace dies. Unless I hold off and chump block with Angel. I feel like I have to. We're going to draw extra cards here. Statistically speaking, the player who draws 2 cards a turn is going to do better than the player who draws 1 card a turn, so let's keep that going as much as possible. But there's Vivian Reed. Our opponent now draws 2 cards a turn as well, or just destroys Cast Out. Wow. Yeah, that's a really, really bad draw for us. Hullbreaker Horror is a really, really good draw for us, but we need something else to back it up with, or else we die really fast. We're at 14. They have 11, 12, 13 on the board. All right, what do we got here? What are we drawing next? Memory Deluge is good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 mana is not enough to cast both. It's 1 mana off. So we can't Hullbreaker Horror and bounce one of their cards, but we could probably still just play Hullbreaker Horror for a surprise block. Try to Memory Deluge next turn. Turn things around. These are pretty nasty here. They draw their extra card off of Vivian's +1, digging for creatures or lands. And a Bonder's Enclave as well. That's a land that draws them extra cards. They have 4 cards engraved. They need to exile 6 to escape with Polukranos. Oh, they go all in on Jace. Well, Jace dies even if I cast Hullbreaker Horror, so whatever. Jace dies and then we Hullbreaker Horror end step. Or do we still kill Polukranos here? Because we can still kill Polukranos if we want. Exile 6 other cards. They have 4. I feel like we kill Polukranos. If we kill anything else, then they can fight Hullbreaker Horror with Polukranos' ability. But if we just block Polukranos, like, sure, they can fight. But if they do that, then it doesn't deal combat damage. So it's, I mean, we just kill Polukranos either way. If they want to spend mana into it, or if they don't.
This isn't over until we figure out a solution.
Come to me.
So Vivian digging for creatures or lands in the top 4. Finds Glasspool Mimic to copy Karuga and draw a bunch of cards here. Although, because legendary, 1 Karuga dies, it's not terrible. Alright, draw another card from Bonder's Enclave. They have 6 cards in grave now. If they put 1 more card in their grave, they can escape Polukranos. But that does count as casting it, so we can bounce it by playing an instant, thanks to Hullbreaker Horror. So we have Commit to Memory now. So we have a lot of instant speed stuff to play around with. For bouncing stuff. And we're at 14 life. We probably attack Vivian here. We could even play both of these and just kill Vivian. Like commit Llanowar Elf so they have to redraw it. Attack Vivian with Hullbreaker Horror. Maybe they block with Karuga, then we hold on to Memory Deluge to bounce Polukranos if they try to cast it from the grave. So it takes most of their mana. And it won't become a 12-12 if it's in their hand. They just play it as a 6-6 instead. Actually kind of a big fan of that. Oh yeah, I could just bounce Karuga and then hit Vivian. Kill nothing. Kill nothing but Vivian, I should say. Could shuffle Graves back in, but then they've got a full grip of 7 cards while I'm tapped out. That seems not ideal at all. Actually, it goes so well, because that was the Glass Pool Mimic and not the original Karuga, so this can't even copy anything right now. Could copy a 0/0. Voracious Hydra. Wow, yeah, I just kind of stumbled into a better play than I thought I did. Now, yeah, they tap out for Pelucranos, not completely, but we just put it back in their hand. Now they can cast it as a 6/6, but not big enough to kill Hullbreaker Horror. We hit our Banishing Light to kill it. Memory makes sure we don't mill out eventually if we need to cast it. If we can't find a lethal before we mill ourselves out. They do have the mana to play Pelucranos and fight with it immediately, but again, it's a 6/6, so that's not big enough to kill the Hullbreaker Horror. So they play a Tangled Florahedron. They have 7 mana left. That's enough for Pelucranos plus Glasspool Mimic. If they want to have 2 Pelucranoses out, then we do have to kill one of them. Okay, cool. They don't go for that. And we do draw an instant, a Thirst for Discovery. That's absolutely beautiful. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana here. 11 mana here. We permanently kill Pelucranos and bounce the Florahedron, then hold up Memory Deluge to cast at instant speed. Hullbreaker Horror kills them in 2 hits. This card is so sick, it's ridiculous. They speed up the midnight clock here. Needs 12 counters, right? It does. It needs 12 counters, so it's not going to happen fast enough to survive against the Hullbreaker Horror. And now they've redrawn a Llanowar Elves that we tucked into their library for them. And now they just have Mana Dorks and a creature to copy their Mana Dorks. So all we have to do is bounce enough things in their end step and our turn to hit for 7 here. So they play 3 blockers. We just need to play any 3 spells. And multiple of our spells are going to be draw spells. Bounce the Mimic. Dig for 2 other cards. Do a Shark Typhoon for fun, I guess. It really doesn't matter what we pick. Just cast 2 things here. Go for the Shark Typhoon because it's cool. And there's the concession from our opponent. That is now 5-2, guaranteeing that we get more gold out of the event than we spent in, I believe. Or at least break even. Yeah, 5-2. We break even. We get 4,000 gold back out of it, as well as the 3 random card rewards. So we're just up some card rewards, and we got to play a bunch of cube. So pretty great time here so far with the blue-white control deck. See if we can't take it all the way to a 7-win run here. I'm going to try my best, but not super certain on it. Ooh, I just got a wonderful, lovely text from my place of work. I work retail. Just confirming 3 more team members with COVID cases. It's wonderful. Always wonderful to get that kind of text. I did just get my booster shot yesterday, so that was nice. But certainly quite a time we're living in. All right, sorry to be a bit of a bummer out of nowhere. Whenever I get a text like that, I can't keep my mind off of that, you know. A little scatterbrained in general. So when things pop up, I'm just like, ooh, what about this thing? Alright, so we're playing against at least blue and white here, Hollowed Fountain being our opponent's first play. They could be more colors than just that, but it also could be a mirror match again. Blue-white versus blue-white. All right, Forest it is, and Maze Mine Tome. I can draw them 4 cards total over time if they dump 2 mana into it every time. Pretty nice card. Is it worth banishing Lighting? I mean, we do spend 1 card to get rid of 4 of theirs, sort of. They do get to destroy 1 off of it. But they do have to dump more mana into that, which means taking a bunch of time into it. I'm not sure if we're supposed to banish them like that. It's an interesting conundrum. Let's get funky with it. We're gonna get jiggy with it, because we're already good. We're 5-2. Whatever happens here is all cool. I just want to see if this pans out well. Just getting rid of the tome. I don't know. I feel like we're the kind of deck that's pretty good at just like dealing with everything our opponent plays. The way that we win every time is just drawing more cards than our opponent. So getting rid of their potential draw 4, as slow as it would be, it just still feels like a good time to me. So there's a Cultivate from our opponent. Now we have the 4 mana for Memory Deluge, which is good, because we're definitely out of stuff to do. Night of Autumn. That will destroy the Banishing Light. Alright, well, Banishing Light played real terribly because their opponent had main deck enchantment removal. Guess we could have opted in response in case we drew a 3 mana or less counterspell. But I think the odds are somewhat low, so it's better to just dig 4 deep and let that happen. There's Hullbreaker Horror and Thirst for Discovery, and we have 6 mana in hand already. Yeah, I think I take the 2 non-lands because of that. We only need to draw 1 more land, although I guess if we cast Thirst, we'll need to draw 2 more lands, because that makes us discard one of them. Do we Mind Flayer here? Makes them play some removal to get rid of it. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just going to take 2 and pass turn. Hold up some draw spells, but we're just going to play 6 mana turn 6. I don't think we're doing all that much here if we just pass turn, so I'm just going to go for a Mind Flayer and see what happens. Like, we're not going to play enough threats that we can reasonably play a Mind Flayer late game and have them not have removal for it. Because we have like 2 threats in the deck, Mind Flayer and Hullbreaker Horror. It's like if they play a bigger threat that we could have Mind Flayered, like that's cool and all that, we could have Mind Flayered it, but the odds of our opponent just running Stone Cold 0 removal feels really low. To where if we just wait on the Mind Flayer, it just gets killed and doesn't matter. So like here, now we get to Valor Stance and just start putting pressure on our opponent, which I do like. However, that means I'm not casting a Mole Drifter, and I love Mole Drifter. Yeah, we have 6 mana here. 2 mana for Stance. 4 mana for other stuff. Yeah, I guess we just Thirst for Discovery and Opt. That's 4 mana of good stuff. Although, I do want to leave some of those for when we cast Hullbreaker Horror for cheap instant speed stuff. I don't know. We're definitely going to Valorous Stance. And hit for 5. I guess we can just evoke Mole Drifter again. It just feels so bad every time. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'll just cast a Thirst for Discovery instead and just keep Opt, so we have 1 instant speed, 1 mana way to toy around with our opponent with Hullbreaker Horror. Because we do have a 7 mana way, the Memory Deluge, but I would like to have a cheap way as well to cast an instant. So what does our opponent have? They have 5 cards in hand. They're green, white, and blue. They're Bants, plus they have a Blast Zone to potentially kill some stuff. They cast a Palladium Mirror, so even more mana, but they probably already have enough. They have 8 mana, so this means 10 mana next turn. The only possible thing they could have that they didn't have enough mana for yet would be Ulamog. But it's possible. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out next turn, I suppose. Alright, so there's the Swift response to kill the Mind Flayer. Get back the Knight. We draw 3. We discard this basic land, or we discard 2 cards. If we discard this basic land, we don't have the 7 mana for Hullbreaker Horror and Memory Deluge, so I feel like we discard Baral Jace. I'm keeping Muldrifter. And that's why, because we draw a Restoration Angel. Alright, so we Hullbreaker Horror in the end step, and we just take 4 until then. Maze of Mind Tome draws our opponent a card. Please no instant speed removal for Hullbreaker Horror in your end step. Cloud Blazer. That would have been nice in our deck. Although we did cut most of the blink, which is fair enough. Gilded Lotus, alright, just a bunch of mana. I guess I don't even really need to Hullbreaker Horror here to go ham. I can just play a Restoration Angel and kill their Knight of Autumn for free. I mean, it does not feel excellent to just bounce their Cloud Blazer and let them draw more cards, does it? But at the same time, if I play Restoration Angel now, I'm not double Muldriftering later, so let's just not do that. We can also try to kill Knight of Autumn here, but then we're open to sorcery speed removal. They have 4 mana up. Probably not worth it. Probably should have still just end stepped, but we'll see. Do they have the 4 mana sorcery speed removal for Hullbreaker Horror? I don't know. This just seemed like a line that was like between the two extremes of the ones I was considering. So I was like, all right, this way we still kill the 2/1 for free and also get the horror out. And it panned out for us. So now, I guess we just bounce their Mana Rock, but not their Tome because they're 1 away from it, so bounce the 2 Mana Dorks, but don't bounce Cloud Blazer. And we do so, obviously, by doing Muldrifter Restoration Angel combo. Because that is the dream. Alright, we're good. No more full control. It's all on the stack. We're drawing 4 cards. We're attacking with a Hullbreaker Horror. They chump block or take 7. And they chump block it is. And we still have an opt for an instant speed way to use Hullbreaker Horror. Won't really matter unless they cast a very expensive spell. Because if they just spend like 3 mana for a Banishing Light or something, that's just going to resolve, because I mean, I guess we can make them spend 3 more on it. I mean, I guess we might as well. There's no other reason to hold on to Opt. Ooh! Well, they will have to dump all their mana into the Doomscar. Or we can just bounce our own Hullbreaker Horror. If I bounce Doomscar, they can recast it. They have the mana to do that, so I would rather bounce our Hullbreaker Horror so we can recast it. Actually. We don't need that land. And now we have a counterspell up too. Time Warp. Alright. Let's see what they do with the extra turn here. Draw a card. Gain 4 life. Mangara the Diplomat, that's pretty fine. They're going to draw a card, though, because we're definitely casting 2 spells a turn for a while. Should be drawing actually a lot of cards off Mangara. But yeah, I mean, their board's real small. We have all our Wraths still in our deck, so any of those would be a good draw against this board state. Do I even just Memory Deluge right now just to try to get to a Wrath before I cast Hullbreaker Horror? We have 9 mana if I cast Hullbreaker Horror. That's enough to cast it and hold up a Saw It Coming. That actually might just be worth it to just slam it down. Yeah, I probably just slam it down and hold up a counterspell. It's like they have 2 cards in hand. They have no more card draw out. So they just sit here putting counters on Blast Zone. They don't attack him. Yeah, we're just going to play Horror and Saw It Coming. And I'm just going to cast Horror right now because they know it's here. Wait, what? 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, no. My math was wrong. Shields are down. Well, this is horrible. This is really bad. Math is for smarter players? Yep, that was awful. Good God. And an Elesh Norn too. Alright, we need to draw one of our Wraths. Did they exile one? No, we have 2 Wraths in these 15 cards. If we draw a Wrath, we still have a good chance here. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 mana. A 10th when we play a land. 10 mana would be 7 for Memory Deluge if we hit the one that costs 1 less. That would still cost too much mana for us. We can play Ojutai's Command and just gain 4, draw a card here, and then hold up Commit on Elesh Norn if we don't hit Wrath. Oh god. Oh, do we have a creature in our grave? Cost 2 or less? We have Baral. We could put Baral on the board as a 0/1 chump blocker. Is that better than a gain 4? Not if we get rid of Elesh Norn. So I think we gain 4, draw a card. And then plan to commit Elesh Norn. If we do not draw Doomscar or the thingy Madooter. I guess now we can enter the Royal Elesh Norn instead. And they just immediately recast it, and then we saw it coming to counter it. Actually, no, when Elspeth Conquers Death, once Elspeth Conquers Death goes down, we can't cast 2 things anymore. We can just cast the 1 into the Royal or the 1 commit. So we're not going to be able to hold up Saw It Coming. So yeah, I guess we're just passing and then we're committing Elesh Norn after they attack. Because it just deals with her longer. I think we had an absolutely stunning position this game if I just counted my lands correctly. Miscounting the lands definitely could throw it all away here. So if they have a counter spell, we lose. Because we can't afford to counter their counter. All our spells cost 2 less. Or 2 more, not 2 less. Alright. Take 5 then. They're going to bring something back from the grave with some counters, so Ulvenwald Hydra is going to be just massive from the grave there. Next turn on Elspeth Conquers Death. I guess it only gets 1 counter, but still pretty good. Neutralize is not what we're looking for. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana here. All of our spells costing 2 more. There's just no way we can't cast any draw spells and still have mana for a Wrath. And I guess they don't have an Elesh Norn out here, so we just take 5 if we bounce like Mangara. And even if we don't, we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We go to 1 life. I guess we could just try to go to 1 life here. Cast Shark Typhoon and have 3 mana up. That's not enough to do anything. I guess it's enough to cast a Saw It Coming once Elspeth Conquers Death isn't going on anymore. I think I just pass. So Elspeth Conquers Death is no longer active, and then we just do whatever instance we can to just take like 5 here instead of lethal. So Ovenwald, oh no, Cloud Blazer is what they're going to go for. So they can just cast Elesh Norn. All right, and then we'll just cast, we'll counter Elesh Norn. Yeah, that's fair. They draw 2. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, 6, 7, 11 mana means 3 mana to counter. We have 8 mana up afterwards, which is enough for a Shark Typhoon for a 6/6. So I think we counter and play a 6/6 Shark Typhoon. And we use the more expensive counter, so it's easier to, because it's easier to hold up the cheaper counter. And this way also, by cycling Shark Typhoon, we're not casting 2 spells. Okay, never mind. I guess we have to counter this. So we are casting 2 spells. So they do draw another card here. Yep, we got to counter that. So they draw a card. So we Shark Typhoon for 4/4 now. Still big enough to kill Mangar, at least. Still the biggest creature on board. Disdainful Stroke is the draw. We're down to 3. This is our last chance for the Wrath. Although Seal Away is something. It's not enough though, because we seal away 1 creature, block that one, seal away that one, take 3. It just has to be the Wrath here, but we only have 4 mana up, so it has to be Wrath land. Or what about Into the Royal? Into the Royal with Seal Away up. Into the Royal plus Seal Away plus block equals... take 1? Oh, good God. How many lands are left in the deck? We have 7 lands. 6 are untapped lands. We hit any untapped land plus Doomscar and Vanquish the Horde and we get there. And that's digging almost the whole way through the deck. 7 out of the 10 cards. Okay, we have both the Wraths. Which one is cheaper? 2, 3, 4, 5. Vanquish the Horde costs 3 mana. Doomscar costs 5, so we take Vanquish. Untapped source. I guess we'll hit for 4 first. If they just like next level big brain me, they block with Cloud Blazer here. And my Vanquish costs 4 instead of 3, so I can't hold up a Disdainful Stroke anymore. Alright, they draw a card from Simulacrum. But we have a Disdainful Stroke up. We have 8 cards in deck, they have 9. This is wild. We don't have Jace anymore, but we have Memory to shuffle everybody's graveyard back in and draw new hands. Ulamog, that's uncounterable, right? You can counter it, but it exiles 2 cards no matter what when they play it. So, I mean, that happens, but we Disdainful Stroke it at least. Oh, God. So they did have the Ulamog, which is wild. I think we were considering that like really early on when they had like Planemir and Gilded Lotus. We were like, what could they possibly be ramping for more than 8? It was like, well, just Ulamog, I guess. 7 cards to 8 cards. We mill out before them, and we don't have anything left in our deck. We have a Cast Out and a Doomscar, and that's it. So I think we have to just Memory here, do what we can with our 5 mana up. Hope we draw better than our opponent. Oh, God. Oh, God. Sought Coming and Brawl is nice because then we draw discard. And we can Sought Coming for double blue. We can Valor Stance for a single white. It's a pretty good post-Wrath setup. Yeah, now we just investigate and keep Baral out. I don't think we counter any creatures. Because we have 2 Wraths in hand. Like, if they just play creatures, we let her all resolve, and then we just draw a card. So yeah, sure, Mangara. Come on down. Elishnorn, come on down. Psalm Simulacrum, come on down. Sure, they draw a card off that one, but still. I guess they draw 2 because they get a land plus draw when they discard it, but I'd rather be able to hold up a counter after I Wrath than counter that thing, and they can definitely have a Mana Rock. I guess they get to draw a card off of that, but again, still better to have this counter for later. Okay. We have more than enough mana for absolutely everything we want to do. So I guess Vanquish the Horde is going to be more expensive more of the time, so we can't play that one. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. One, 2, 1, 2. And when we need 4 up, yeah, we could just foretell both cards. I guess they just know exactly what's going on if I foretell, though, so probably don't. Alright, draw the card off of Mind Stone. Night of Autumn. We can seal that away. Or we have a Doomscar. Into the Royal. Not bad at all. So we're like all in on Jace, right? We just try to mill our opponent with Jace now that Jace is back in the deck. Yeah, because Hullbreaker Horror is exiled. Memory Deluge is exiled. Seal away the Night of Autumn. And we've got 4 cards in hand. Tangled Florahedron it is. It's a 1-1, but that even a 1-1 kills us pretty fast. They're going to pass turn. Do we want to Into the Royal to just draw a card? I don't think so. Restoration Angel's the draw, big enough to flash in and block Tangled Florahedron. Get a free kill on it. Their Blast Zone's at 5. That's too big to kill Restoration Angel. That was a horrible auto tap. We don't have any white instants, but it doesn't really matter. We have a million mana. Alright, we kill the Florahedron. They have 11 cards in library. We have 13. Elspeth Conquers Death it is. That would exile our Restoration Angel, make our stuff more expensive, then bring something back from their grave, which includes Elishnorn. Do we counter that, or do we bounce our Restoration Angel so that the only part that matters is the third part, and once the third part happens, we just kill that with a Doomscar? Kill the creature they bring back with a Doomscar? I feel like I'm going to hold on to our counterspell here. This could be super wrong here. I just don't think that's worth a counter spell, because it doesn't matter till the third part, really. Making our stuff more expensive is annoying, but not super relevant. I guess I should have opted in case I hit something I really wanted to cast, because it's not like I have Hullbreaker Horror still in the deck. Yeah, I should have opted, because then I could just Disdainful Stroke that anyway. But now I'll just hold Disdainful Stroke for something else. Mind Flayer on their Elishnorn, perhaps? If they bring that back with Elspeth Conquers Death. Swift Response, I think that just resolves. Because it doesn't really threaten us, it just makes it so we can't hit them for 3 a turn anymore. Which is like, if we're just trying to hit them for 3 a turn, like, I don't think we're really getting there that way. I mean, they draw 2 cards, they're quicker to milling out, but we have Jace in the deck, so Jace, we either mill ourselves out and win or mill them out and win. I'm just going to counter that. I don't want them to have more cards than I do. I want to be able to stop literally everything they do without them having anything to say about it. Approach of the Second Sun. Ooh, am I glad I left a bunch of counterspells in here. Get that into the graveyard, please. Never cast that again. And we draw another counterspell? Alright. We've got Mind Flayer for their Elishnorn they're going to pick up. Neutralize for whatever they cast. Oh, if I Mind Flayer their Elishnorn, then they Blast Zone to kill my Mind Flayer and I die because they get it back. They choose Cloud Blazer. It's pretty smart, so they get enter the battlefield value even if I kill it with something. Yeah, that's really smart. It is actually really bad. I did not have the Cloud Blazer in grave when I was choosing whether or not to counter the Conquer's Death, though, so... Well, we're on Doomscar now, so I guess this resolves. I hope they grab a land. That puts them even closer to milling out. They do not grab a land. Mirari's Wake. Double up their mana, buff their creatures. They already have essentially infinite mana. I don't think I've seen anything where stopping that mana matters. Ulamog is indestructible, correct? Yeah, we have to counter Ulamog because otherwise... otherwise Ulamog doesn't die to Doomscar. So that's a card that makes doubling the mana matter. But they already had the mana to cast Ulamog, they would just have had to wait a turn. You do get another creature back, but again, Doomscar's just going to kill it, so it's whatever. Alright, 1 card in hand. Doomscar this board state. We have a Cast Out and a Mind Flayer. Although I think the Cast Out matters a lot more. Because if we just play Mind Flayer again, Blast Zone gets us hard. Although we do have the mana to play both. Ooh, Muldrifter. So Muldrifter is a 5-drop though, so that again is going to die to Blast Zone. So we just play Muldrifter, they blow up the Blast Zone, then we cast out Palladium Mirror, because we'll have to not die, and then we can try to Mind Flayer their next card. Ooh, Banishing Light and Shark Typhoon. We have 8 mana up here. Play it really safe and just kill Palladium Mirror right now. Sorcery speed. I'm pretty fine with that. And then we're still holding up a Cast Out. Thirst for Discovery. Drawn to Jason to just play Jace. I mean, we know Jace is in there. I mean, I could double check and make sure Jace isn't exiled, but I think that's just the win this turn. Do we have any counterspells left in our deck? We don't have any. We have Commit to Memory. Oh wait, no, that's exiled. We don't have that. We don't have any counterspells left in our deck, so that is pretty risky. We just do that and hope they have no counter. If they have no counter, we win, but if they do have a counter, we don't. I mean, that's kind of what's just going to happen regardless, so just do it when they only have 1 mana. Sure. Or do it when they only have 1 card in hand. Alright, Jace, please. Oh my god, the Jace victory in the end. A game we should have been in a much better position and probably should have won a long time ago. But I stayed in there. Didn't panic leave. I just kind of panicked and played cards. Stayed in there, and we still managed to slowly but surely grind back into a stable position. Well, not super stable, but grind into a victory there. Find that from the jaws of defeat. Almost punted that entire game away, but the deck has just been a well-oiled machine. Even an amateur pilot like myself can find a way to get a victory out of there with a little luck and a lot of sweat in that game. Good God. All right, so here we are, final boss, 6-2. Win or lose, we played the maximum amount of Magic, and we played some long games too. See how this game goes. Opponent starts with a Sacred Foundry untapped into a Gitsu Lava Runner. An aggressive deck, it looks like. I am happy to have Doomscar in this matchup. We're just going to foretell that right away. I don't think Mind Flayer is going to be super good in this matchup, and I also don't think Mind Flayer is super good in this deck. I just wanted to play around with it since it's its first time in the Arena Cube. But the problem with it in this deck is we don't have enough creatures for anything to draw removal from our opponent early game, which means that by the time we slam down a Mind Flayer, they just definitely have a removal spell to kill it with. So we kind of just spend 5, they kill Mind Flayer. We didn't even prevent like a single point of damage that way. I guess their creature is summoning sick again when they regain control of it. So at least there's that. Aether Sphere Harvester, that plays really well against a Wrath because it's a vehicle, so it's not a creature unless they crew it. Things aren't looking super hot for us. I guess I just Banishing Light the Harvester here, rather than hold up the 4 mana to Shark Typhoon into a 2/2, because they're not going to attack with Lava Runner when they have Harvester. They're just going to crew that and attack with that. And then Shark Typhooning out a 2/2 doesn't do anything for us. Elite Spellbinder. See what they're going to make cost more. Probably Shark Typhoon. If they exile Shark Typhoon, we don't get to cycle it, which is super bad. Like, really, really bad. So that is the choice. Hit that Shark Typhoon. So we probably just slam down a Mole Drifter here, because Mind Flayer, again, just plays so poorly against removal. So Forsaken Crossroads, it's basically Evolving Wilds, but you scry one when you play it. Comes to play tapped, but you choose a color and you get that that color mana out of it, and you scry one when you play it. Alright, so here's our Mole Drifter. If they don't have removal, this trades into Elite Spellbinder. If they do have removal, that's less removal to kill Mind Flayer with, but they know about the Mind Flayer, so I don't think they're going to spend all their removal unless they have more. Although, we're moderately close to being able to hold up Valorous Stance and play Mind Flayer in the same turn. We're not there yet. We need to hit another untapped source. Do we want a Doomscar to kill 2 creatures here? If we do, we're holding up double blue, which isn't enough for anything. Alternatively, we just cast out and take 2 from Lava Runner. They have 3 cards in hand still, and if I Doomscar, I can't cast anything else. with my 2 mana. But if I Mind Flayer, they just like kill it and still deal... I guess they only deal 2, because we just play Mind Flayer, steal Spellbinder, they steal it back, but it's still tapped and or summoning sick. If they have like Lightning Strike, instant speed 3 damage, that's really bad for us, actually. This is a really rough choice. I think I'm gonna go Doomscar. Hope that their hand is just like removal, and then next turn if we hit an untapped source, we go Mind Flayer, hold up Valorous Stance. Cathar Commando, that's pretty nice here. It's a 3-1, so it's threatening 3 damage per attack that kills us in 3 hits. Or they can crack it to kill our Banishing Light, get back their Aether Sphere Harvester. It just feels like too aggressive of a matchup for us here. Again, can't kill anything with Valorous Stance. We have 6 mana up. We can cast out and hold up Valorous Stance. Won't do anything unless the Magmatic Channeler gets bigger, which it probably won't. And if I try to just cast out Cathar Commando, they respond by getting their Harvester back. That's so bad. I think we're just dead. Kind of no matter what we do. I guess if I wait to cast out until during their turn, I guaranteed stop some damage. Anything else I do is like sorcery speed, so I don't. So I do just flat out die immediately. Yeah, my one play that gives me like 1 more turn is to cast out during their turn. But then they just get the Harvester back. Kill me with that next turn. I guess if they crew it, we get to kill it with Valorous Stance. Yeah, that is a Valorous Stance target, that's true. Den of the Bugbear. Oh god, now their lands can attack us for lethal too. A 3-2 and a 1-1 Goblin when they attack with that. Far from ideal. Now we can Mind Flayer and hold on to Valorous Stance, which is like cute, so I guess it's just what we've got. Alright, it's what we got, we're gonna do it. They can't crew Aether Sphere Harvesters while they play another creature. Although I guess they could just activate Den of the Bugbear and tap it to crew Aether Sphere Harvester. Lurrus certainly works and casts stuff from their grave, which is abysmal. Well, we are no longer defending Mind Flayer. They do have the immediate crew for the Aether Sphere Harvester. So we'll blow it up. And then maybe we hit our other Wrath effect. Get the mildest chance in the world. 4 cards on board, what does this do? Discard a card, exile the top 2, you can choose 1 and play it this turn. It does it for free, so... I mean, maybe... We have 7 mana, so we can do that discarding Memory Deluge. Hold up Neutralize Thirst. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we hit the Wrath off that. Ojutai's Command and Commit to Memory. Commit to Memory Lurrus slows them down. And then we still have 3 mana up for a Neutralize. It's in our graveyard. Nothing that costs 2 or less. Gain 4 and draw a card, which is cute. Be at 10 life. I think we have to just deal with Lurrus. Problem is, now they get to they get to activate Den of the Bugbear. And I can't block that. Or counter it. I guess I could. They get their Magmatic Channeler back. Take 3 regardless. Yeah, actually, I just have to block it. And they get their Magmatic Channeler back. We have to draw a Wrath, so Thirst for Discovery to draw 3 is something. even if we draw a Wrath... Actually, no, we just killed their man land. So if we draw a Wrath, then yeah, we might survive a turn. If it's cheap enough to hold up... Uh-oh. If it's cheap enough to hold up a counterspell afterwards, then maybe. If it's not, then they probably just burn us out. Well, we'll just draw 4 lands there at the end. So that is... I believe that's it. And we can Deluge, but our Wrath would only cost 3 less to cast. Instead of 8 mana, it would cost 5. So we'd need 12 mana total. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is not quite there. Yeah. That's going to end it for us. Well, they have 0 Bourne. Okay. I'm going to stick in. I did concede 1 match a little bit prematurely, so we'll stick in there this time, I guess. Okay, that's definitely lethal. Well, cost 5 mana to activate. Yeah, we're 1 mana off. We could maybe counter that, activate Cave, block Lava Runner, take 2. That's what I was thinking. Would mean that we have the slightest chance, but no, we don't have the mana for that, even. So them having another haste creature really seals it. That was a very good Boros aggro deck, and that is definitely going to get the win on us there. Quite a good start from them. And again, I'm not sure I played that ideally. I probably didn't, but really don't think that we could have found any way to stabilize in that match. But 6-3, still an excellent run, and I do believe this deck could have easily gone 7-2 at least, if not 7-0 with a better pilot. I think definitely it could have gone 7-2. There was one game that I straight punted away, the game where I let them do the double rampant growth, and I made a lot of misplays through a lot of the games in general, just playing a strategy that I'm very, very uncomfortable with just for variety's sake. And I mean, it was a fun time. We got to play some new stuff. Any thoughts on the deck after the draft? I would probably cut Mind Flayer. That card was... I mean, it actually did help in that last game because they just managed to not have any removal left at that point, but I don't think generally it's the right kind of card for this sort of deck. Maybe like try out the Pact of Negation or the Teferi's Protection, something like that. Instead, I don't know, but probably cut that for something. Other than that, most of the cards I think were quite functional and lent themselves to a really nice deck. It was kind of hilarious. We got to do the Restoration Angel Muldrifter thing a ton, and we got to play Hullbreaker Horror a ton. But the thing you have to think about is these kinds of control decks, like these blue-white draw-go control decks, their whole way to win the game is to just stabilize against your start and then sit there drawing cards until they draw a way to win the game. So if you look back on all the games we won, I would say the vast majority of them, we won the game with like 10 cards left in our library. So sure, we cast a ton of Hullbreaker Horrors and Shark Typhoons, but that's how this kind of deck works, because we're just seeing so much more of our deck than your average deck is going to be. Any game that we win is going to be a game where we've drawn almost our whole deck anyway. Whereas with like really aggressive strategies, any game you win is generally going to be a really fast game. So games that close out by turn 10 at like the latest. So you don't generally in an aggressive deck manage to play your big bomb every single round. But you certainly do in these blue-white heavy draw spell kind of draw-go control decks. So that is going to end today's video. As always, if you... I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to back out and accept my prizes. All right, sorry about that. But that is going to end today's video. As always, if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more, just stick around on the channel. There will be plenty more cube drafts in the near future. Tomorrow there will probably be just another cube draft. And then on Saturday, I'm not for sure. It's probably just going to be another regular cube draft, and then Sunday is when I will upload the Arena Decathlon Finals. That is a best of 3 Arena cube draft event for acquiring a bunch of Decathlon tokens. So that will be the big event with a ton on the line there. So lots of great Arena cube stuff in the near future. Kamigawa spoilers pretty soon. Definitely be interested to see some of those. And then Innistrad double feature at the end of the month as well, mixing together Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, and Crimson Vow. So tons of great stuff for drafters like myself. Means tons of videos on the way. So as always, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.